believing in the echad of Hashem, the oneness of Hashem. What does the oneness of Hashem, the echad of Hashem, have to do with Tznius? The answer to this, I believe, lies in exploring very, very carefully some of the basic yesodais, some of the basic principles of tshuva. The Rabbeinu Yonah in the Shari Tshuva, Ikar HaRevi ve'Ikar HaAsiri, in his 4th and his 10th principle of the 20 yesodais of tshuva, speaks about how a person who returns to Hashem with tshuva, that it's not only sufficient that his attitude and that his heart and his mind changes, but that the different parts of the person, his eyes and his ears and his nose and his mouth and his hands and his feet, that part of him that participated in an aveira, that part of the person should go through a cleansing through Yisurim, a cleansing through tears, and then that very part that was used in aveira should be dedicated to mitzvahs. For example, let's say a person always did aveiros with his hand. He hurt people physically with his hands. So when he does tshuva, he now has to concentrate on mitzvahs that he needs his hands to do. If he did aveiros with his eyes, so then he has to concentrate on using his eyes in ways that are necessary to do mitzvahs that require the eyes. And the question that comes up is, what is this concept? Why isn't it sufficient that the person has a mahapecha, that he turns himself over in terms of his attitude of returning to Hashem? Why does the return to Hashem have to be so individualized that the particular part that was involved in the aveira now has to be involved in mitzvahs? My eyes are not returning to Hashem. It's my whole being that's returning to Hashem. It's not my hands and my fingers and my nose and my mouth that's returning to Hashem. It's my whole being that's returning to Hashem. We find the same idea in the Tefillah Zakah on the night of Yom Kippur. We stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the night of Yom Kippur, and we have a very, very interesting vidui. The vidui is a list. It starts with the eyes and the ears and the nose and the mouth, and it's the list of the whole body of the person. And we say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you gave me eyes to gaze at good things and helik azachin, and to learn Torah with and to do mitzvahs with, and I use for the wrong things. And you gave me hands for mitzvahs, and I use them for aveiros, and you gave me feet for mitzvahs, and I use them for aveiros. Literally going through all of the different parts of the person. And when we're finished with it, we turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and we say, and behold, from foot to head, I'm a balmum. I'm totally handicapped. Again, the stress seems to be on individualizing the harm of the aveira to the different parts of a human being, and that the tshuva has to be the different parts. What is it supposed to mean? Lefi ani astati, I think that what's being expressed over here is a very, very important yesod. Many of us think that the way to look at ourselves is as follows. And we really, really think that it's a proper hashkafa. My neshama is beautiful. My neshama is a chelek elokam imal. It's the most beautiful part of who I am. And if I could only ditch everything else that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me, and live with my neshama, that would be the ideal. Our outlook, when we look at ourselves in terms of our existence physically, I dare say that we look at ourselves that the physical is a troublemaker. I wish I could get rid of it. It's the part of me that's similar to a walking garbage can. And we think that if we have this hashkafa of the physical, that in that way we're going to reach big madregas, great levels of kedusha, and we're going to reach great levels of shmiras hamitzvahs and staying away from averos, in the total degradation of the physical and the total glorification of the neshama. This is, I dare say, what many of us think, and I think it's a tremendous confusion, an awful confusion, a confusion that I think puts a person in the position of being chas v'shalom closer to Aveira, not further away. Because to the degree that a person looks upon any part of himself in a degrading fashion, so then he's just a skip away from using that degraded part of himself for a degraded behavior. What do you do with a garbage can if not put garbage in it? I think that the real hashkafa of how a Yid is supposed to look at himself, even in terms of his physical existence, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me kalim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me vessels. He gave me eyes. He gave me ears. He gave me a nose. He gave me a mouth. He gave me hands. He gave me feet. And each and every one of them I have to be mechabed. I have to give it respect, because it's another keli, it's another vehicle, it's another tool in Avodas Hashem. Were it not, I wouldn't have been born with it. And if I was born with it, it's a klei sharis. And if it's a klei sharis, it deserves the covet of a klei sharis. Therefore, the Rabbeinu Yonah says that when a person does an Aveira with whatever part of him that he does the Aveira, the Rabbeinu Yonah says that when a person does tshuva, he has to do tshuva and return that part back to Hashem. What does it mean? That if I use that part of me in an Aveira, so then I took it out of understanding it as being a klei sharis to serve Hashem. If I took it away from being a klei sharis to serve Hashem, so now I have to reinstitute it. I have to make a new chinuch. I have to make a new chanukah on that part, that it should again become a klei sharis. This is why in the Tefillah Zakai we say the same thing. In the Tefillah Zakai we say that each and every part of us stands as a klei sharis. And if it stands as a klei sharis, so I misused it, I was mo'el, I misused hektish, my eyes are hektish, my hands are hektish, every part of me is hektish, and I misused it, and therefore I'm handicapped. And I need that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give me back my kalim, my vessels. Once we understand this perspective, we have a very, very interesting parallel that we can make between mitzvahs done b'tznius and the tznius in the way we dress and in the way we talk and in the way we walk and in the way that we do everything. Because just like in a mitzvah, you can attach yourself to the inherent value of the mitzvah, and you can be serving Hashem, or you could attach some kind of superfluous meaning to the mitzvah, the applause of people, which is the chitzonius, it has nothing to do with the mitzvah itself, and be serving yourself. So a mitzvah hangs in the balance of either being done for its real reason to the real Hashem, or for the wrong reason and to oneself. The same thing is true in terms of how we look at everything that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us, even in our physical being. We could look at our heads and our eyes and our nose and our mouths and our hands and our feet, and we could look at them in a very chitzoniistic way, in a very superfluous, in a very outside kind of way. What does it look like? And how much makeup to put upon it? And how it should appear? And what should be clothed and what shouldn't be clothed? But then we're attaching the external meanings. But the reality is that a Yid needs to realize that every part of his physical existence doesn't have its beauty and strength for its external appearance, but for the internal content. And the internal content, it says that it's a klei sharis. So therefore, the concept of tznius, in terms of dress, whenever a person wants to try to understand what am I exactly trying to accomplish with tznius, what is it that I'm looking to do? I'm looking to make a statement that I am not going to look or to appreciate or make others look or others should appreciate any part of who I am for anything else except that it's a klei sharis to serve Hashem. And in order to accomplish that, the Torah gave us halachas of tznius that protect us, that for ourselves and for others, that we never misconstrue any part of what Hashem gave us for an external meaning, for an external experience, but rather for its internal content, for it, the mahus, the essence of what it is, a klei sharis. With this we understand full well what tznius has to do with Yichud Hashem. What does it have to do with the oneness of Hashem? Because if a person has a view that the ruchnius is one thing, and my neshama is one thing, and my physical existence that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me is a separate subject, and I don't look at it for the internal meaning that it has, but it has an external meaning, so then what have I really created? What I've really created is, I said that there are two important things in this world. There's a world of ruchnius, in which there's Hashem, and in which neshamas are floating around. And then there's another whole world that has its meaning for how it looks, and for how it appears, and how it appeals, and how it projects itself. The Olam HaChitzon, the Gashmiistic world. Then your view is a view of two worlds. So this is what the Radak says. Hashem is echad. Hashem is one. And Hashem wants that